Hey guys, this lesson is on text structures. So we're going to go over the different text structures and how we might see them in text. We're going to use some soccer passages to explore the 5 different types. The first type we're going to look at is called description. Soccer is one of the most popular sports in the world. Millions of people play soccer. It is a fairly simple game to learn. Players try to move the ball down the field and kick it into their goal. However, a goalie stands in front of the goal and tries to block any shot the other team makes. If a team gets the ball in the goal, they score 1 point. Players need to know the rules. You are not allowed to touch the ball with your hands unless you are the goalie, or you are throwing the ball onto the field from the sideline. You are also not allowed to tackle other players. The referee watches to make sure each player follows the rules. To play soccer, you need just a few items. You need to have a ball, a large area of grass, and goals. Many players wear special shoes called cleats. These shoes have points on the bottom to help players run without slipping. Many players also wear shin guards. These protect a player's legs from getting kicked. So the text structure of description gives lots of details about the subject. And this piece has a description structure because it tells us lots of different details about soccer. In the first paragraph, it tells us how to play. In the second paragraph, it tells us the rules and how to play. In the third paragraph, it tells us what we need. So this is just a text describing the details of a soccer game. The next structure we're going to look at is sequence. Sequence tells us the order or the date and time of events. Soccer is a game that has been played for numerous years. In fact, many people believe that it began in England over 800 years ago. About 200 years ago, in the early 1800s, boys in England played a sport like soccer, but they called it football. However, each school made up their own rules. In 1863, a group of players met and wrote official rules for soccer. Soccer started spreading to other countries. In 1904, an international group called FIFA formed to make sure that every team around the world followed the same soccer rules. Today, soccer is one of the most popular sports in the world. This piece has a sequence structure because it tells us how soccer has changed over time. So at first, let's say about 200 years ago, in the early 1800s, it was called football. In 1863, some rules were written. In 1904, FIFA formed. And today, soccer is one of the most popular sports. So this tells us the evolution of soccer over time, which makes it a sequence text. The next text structure we're going to talk about is compare and contrast. Compare and contrast is how we look at things and decide how they are alike and how they are different. Soccer and football are alike in a few ways, but have many differences. One similarity is that there are 11 players on the field at one time in both soccer and football. They are both popular sports in the United States, and they both require the use of a ball and a field. The differences between soccer and football are numerous. Soccer players use a ball shaped like a sphere, whereas football players use a ball that has two ends. In soccer, players are trying to send the ball in the goal. However, in football, players are trying to get the ball in the end zone or through the goalposts. The rules are also very different. In soccer, players are rarely allowed to touch the ball with their hands, while football players frequently touch the ball. Football players are allowed to tackle, but this is forbidden in soccer. These are just a few ways that soccer and football are different. Nonetheless, most people agree that both are fun sports. So here we're comparing and contrasting soccer and football using what's called a Venn diagram. A Venn diagram has one thing in one circle, the other thing in the other circle, and both in the middle. So if it's a difference, it goes with its individual piece. If it's a similarity, it goes in the both part. So both sports have 11 players on a team. Both sports are fun and popular. Both sports use a ball and a field. In soccer, you can't use your hands. In football, you can use your hands. In soccer, the ball is a sphere. In football, the ball has two pointed ends. In soccer, there's no tackling. In football, there is tackling. So this text has a text structure of compare and contrast because it's telling us the likenesses and differences, or the similarities and differences, of soccer and football. The next thing we're going to look at is cause and effect. Head injuries account for between 4% and 22% of all soccer injuries. These can result in concussions. A concussion may occur when someone's head strikes an object. The most common cause of a concussion during soccer is when one player's head strikes another player's head. The second most common cause of a soccer-related concussion is when the ball is kicked from close range and hits a player's head. Heading the ball does not cause head injuries as long as it is done properly. So cause and effect looks at what happens and what the result is, or what happens and why it happened. So in this text, the effect is soccer-related concussions or other head injuries. And the most common causes for that are players hitting heads, and players being hit with the ball. So because players sometimes hit heads or get hit in the head with the ball, there are soccer-related concussions. Or soccer-related concussions occur because players hit heads and get hit in the head with the ball. The last text structure we're going to look at before we start practicing is problem and solution. Problem and solution texts present an issue and some ways to solve that issue. Professional soccer players head the ball thousands of times during their careers. Doctors are unsure whether players that repeatedly head the ball are more susceptible to later head injuries. Therefore, many parents and coaches are choosing to take steps to protect young players. What are some possible protections? Make sure children learn how to properly head the ball. Use the appropriate size ball for the age of the players. Smaller balls are less likely to cause injuries. Make a no heading rule for the younger players. So in this text, the problem is that heading the ball improperly may cause head injuries. And the solutions to that problem are to teach proper technique, so teach and use proper technique for heading the ball, using the right size ball, and no heading rules, especially for young players. So this text presented a problem and also ways that we could take care of the problem. Now we're going to do some practice. For each text, you need to read the text and decide which text structure is being used. It is easy to get gum stuck in your hair. It's not so easy to get it out. If you happen to get gum stuck in your hair, do not reach for the scissors. There are several ways to remove gum from hair without getting a new haircut. The least messy method is the ice cube method. Put several ice cubes in a plastic bag and hold it against the gum. The gum should harden, making it easy to break off. Another effective method, but messier, is to work peanut butter into the gum. Egg whites, vinegar, or mayonnaise are other solutions to a gum in the hair catastrophe. What text structure do you think is being used for this passage? The text structure being used here is problem and solution. We were given a problem of getting gum in your hair. Gum stuck in your hair. We were given the solutions of the ice cube method, peanut butter, egg whites, vinegar, and mayonnaise. So we were presented with an issue and several ways to work around it. Chewing gum has a long history in the United States. Native Americans chewed the sap from spruce trees and passed the habits to settlers. The settlers added beeswax to make a chewing gum. In 1848, John B. Curtis made and sold gum called the State of Maine Pure Spruce Gum. In 1871, Thomas Adams patented a machine to manufacture gum. In 1914, Wrigley Doublemint brand was created. This was the first gum to have mint and fruit flavors added. In 1928, Walter Deemer invented the pink double bubble bubble gum. Today, millions of pieces are chewed each day. What text structure do you think is being used here? The text structure being used here is sequence, because we were given details about the evolution or the timeline for gum. It started in the era of the Native Americans and settlers. Then it was made and sold in 1848. Then in 1871, a machine manufactured gum. In 1914, double mint was created. In 1928, double bubble was invented. And today, millions of pieces are chewed. So this is a timeline of how gum has changed. You might be surprised to know that chewing gum may actually be good for you. Scientists have discovered that chewing gum can help your memory. This increase in memory might be due to the chewing action by your jaw. When you chew gum, your hippocampus is stimulated. The hippocampus is the memory part of the brain. Chewing gum also results in more blood flow and oxygen delivery to the brain. So the next time you are preparing to take a test, you might want to pop a piece of gum in your mouth. What text structure do you think this is? This text structure is cause and effect. And this passage was a little tricky. The effect is that your memory might be helped or improved. The cause is chewing gum. So if you chew gum, that will lead to better memory. Bubblegum is a type of chewing gum. Most people love to blow bubbles with bubblegum. There are numerous flavors of bubblegum. Some of the more popular flavors include grape, strawberry, watermelon, cinnamon, fruit punch, and blue raspberry. Some of the more unusual flavors are bacon and popcorn. In taste tests, children seem to prefer strawberry and watermelon flavors. What flavor of bubblegum is your favorite? Which text structure do you think is used for this passage? The text structure used in this passage is description. We are given all sorts of details and adjectives about gum, what flavors it comes in, which ones are more preferable to children, and what type of gum bubblegum is. So because we were given details, but we were not given a problem and a solution or a cause and an effect or a sequence of events, this is description. The differences between chewing gum and toothpaste are obvious. For example, people can chew gum for hours, but people keep toothpaste in their mouth for 2 minutes or less. You can blow big bubbles outside the mouth with gum. However, you cannot blow a bubble with toothpaste. You may be surprised to know that chewing gum and toothpaste are alike in some ways too. Both chewing gum and toothpaste can relieve the symptoms of bad breath or gum disease. Like toothpaste, sugar-free gum has been found to protect tooth enamel and lessen the number of cavities in teeth. What text structure do you think is used for this passage? The text structure used here is compare and contrast. I know it's compare and contrast because we're talking about differences, and we're also talking about ways that toothpaste and chewing gum are alike. So when we're looking at differences and similarities, or ways that things are unlike each other and alike each other, we're using compare and contrast.